Good morning, everyone. So today we are from Group 4. We'll explain about the concept of theme, scene, and also setting. But before jumping into the material, we would like to introduce ourselves first.
My name is Idewa Ayumade Melani Pramesti as the first speaker.
My name is Made Raninta Chandra Dewi as the second speaker.
And my name is Dwi Chandra as the third speaker. Okay, so here is the tables of contents that we will explain in today's occasion. The first one we would like to explain about theme, and then scene, and then followed by setting. So for the first occasion, I would like to invite Melanie to present about theme. So Melanie, time is yours.
All right, thank you, Dwi, for the opportunity. So now I'm going to explain about a theme, that is concept of theme, and also a theme analysis. Next, please. The first one, I'm going to explain about the definitions of theme. Basically, a theme is the basic elements of the story that can control the content of the story itself. And there are two definitions of theme proposed by two researchers. The first one is proposed by Vivante, as cited in Triana. Theme is the underlying concept of a story. It means that theme is not give a specific overview about the story. However, it give throughout overview of the story. Since the theme of the story is not explicit in the story, but it is implicit in the story. So the theme itself is not based on every scene of the story. For example, the theme of the story is not based on the first scene. Is the theme of the first scene is about love, and then the theme of the second scene is about war. But the theme of the story is cover the whole content of the story. And then the second definition is proposed by Perrin, as cited in Triana. The theme of a piece of fiction is its controlling idea or its central insight. Basically, every theme of a story can provide a valuable insight to the reader. So the definitions proposed by Parent itself attempts to explain that theme as an important element of a story. It serves to set the course. It serves to set the course the course of a story. For example, if the theme of the story is about love, so the content of the story cannot be deviated from the theme. For example, if the theme of a story is about love, so at least the content of the story can be tells the reader about two people who fall in love each other. And then next, please. And then the next one, I'm going to explain about the principle of theme. According to Perrin, as cited in Rosaria, there are two principles of the theme. The first one, the theme should describe the whole story. As I said before, the theme should cover the whole content of the story. It cannot be only tells about every scene of the story. So, for example, the theme of the story can be about love, can be about war, can be about survival, can be about revolution, and etc. And then the second principle of theme is theme should be in line with the content of the story. It means that the theme of a story cannot be in contradictory with the whole content of the story. As I said before, it's safe to set the course of a story. So the theme of the story or the content of the story cannot be deviated from the theme of the story itself. Next, please. So here is our analysis about the theme of the flight story. In our opinion, the theme of the flight story is about manhood, where the story tells about the revolutions of a boy become a man, and also the story tells about the perspective of the perspective of the people about the meaning of a man. That is, a boy become a man when a boy can do brave and harmful action. As we can see in the story, Mama Torres said he is nearly a man now. After she asked Pepe to find some medicine to his to Pepe's family, which is actually it is supposed to be done by his father. Since his father already dead, so uh, Mama Torres needs another man. I mean sosok pria yang menggantikan Pepe, so that Pepe proved that he is becoming a man by doing brave and harmful action. As we can see in the story, he went to the mountain tops by himself, uh, with his horse, and then he he have to survive, how to still alive in the forest, since his horse is dead, and then he have to go to the mountain by himself, by his by himself by himself, without his horse. I think that's all of my explanation, and then the next explanation will be continued by Dwi.
I'm sorry, it is supposed to be Ranita.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the second topic that we will talk in this presentation is actually the scene. So before jumping to the analysis of the flight by the John Steinbeck, we will talk about the definition of the scene itself. So the first one is the definition proposed by Cambridge Dictionary, which states scene is a part of a play or film in which the action stays in one place for a continuous period of time. And then there's also another definition that is proposed by a dictionary, Oxford Dictionary. So in the context of movie or play, scene is defined as a part of a film, play, or a book in which the action happens in one place or is of one particular type. So we can conclude here that scene is a place where a certain event or a major action happens in the story. So if scene is placed orderly, so scene will show the flow of the story itself. The example of the scene is the balcony scene in which Romeo and Juliet meet for the first time. So this scene is very popular and it is pictured as something sweet and something romantic. It is also very legend. Now we will jump into the analysis of the flight, and there are 11 scenes, and the first scene is the yard behind the bars. Okay, so what kind of action here? So in this scene, Mama Torres asked Pepe to run some errand, which is buying salt and also medicine to Monterey. But instead of answering his mom, Pepe was very busy in playing his night with his siblings, which are Emilio and also Rosie in the back of the yard. So Mama Torres was quite annoyed by Pepe and said that Pepe was a lazy boy who only plays around with his knife. And then we have the second scene here. So the second scene here happens in the hill and the barn. So after being asked by his mom, Pepe has to prepare everything to go to the Monterey. So he goes to the hill to catch some horse, and then he goes back to the barn and prepares stuff such as coat, headband, and then also green handkerchief, and he also used a denim coat. And after that, Pepe is off to go to the Monterey to run some errands. And in this scene, Pepe is very happy because he thinks that he is believed to be a man right now. And then we have the third scene, which is it is in the barn and in the doorstep of the barn. So after being left by Pepe, Mama Torres asked Emilio and also Rosie to collect some abalones. So they are preparing the dinner. And then after that, they had a night talk on the doorstep of the barn. They talk about how Pepe right now is nearly a man, nearly a man, because she have to go to the outside of city, another city, I mean, by himself, which is it is considered as something brave, something manly. And then we have the fourth scene. And this is happened in the middle of night. The place is also still in the barn, but in this scene, Pepe came from the Monterey. And then he wakes up Mama Torres and told Mama Torres what he did in the Monterey, which is killing Mrs. Rodriguez's son. So Mama Torres asked Pepe to run away to the mountain. So she hurriedly prepares everything, every stuff, asks Pepe to wake Emilio and Rosie to prepare the horse. And after that, they say the last word to the Pepe, and then Pepe off to go to the mountain. And then there's the fifth scene, and it is the cliff above the ocean. So after Pepe went to the mountain to run away, Emilio and also Rosie has a conversation on the cliff above the ocean. So they talk about the departure of the Pepe to the mountain, and then they talk about how Pepe is going to be died sooner or later. And then there is this next scene, which is the trail somewhere in the canyon. So basically, this scene is the beginning of the journey. So Pepe starts the journey by passing by the trail somewhere in the canyon, and the trail has 3 minutes. So in this scene, Pepe is drinking the water and led his horse to also drink the water. And also they save the water for the journey. And then the next scene, we have the trail which is surrounded by the trees. So in this scene, the major action that happens in this scene is Pepe meets a horseman pass by the trail. So he was very shocked till he kicked the horse behind a redwood tree. And then he was very nervous knowing that there is a horseman passing by the trail, because he thinks that maybe the man was someone who is sent by Mrs. Rodriguez to kill him. But however, he succeeded in overcoming the situation. And there are the next scene, which is the scene 8, which is the place is the trail. So it is a very general trail, because after Pepe continuing the journey, we can summarize that the only major actions or event that happens in the journey is actually Pepe was very anxious in his journey, and during this scene, Pepe has seen a black man figure twice. So of course, it is men who were sent by Mrs. Rodriguez, and also Pepe met a wild cat. And then the next scene, we have the age of the rich. So this scene was what is it, a very crucial scene in this story, because after the previous scene, Pepe went up to the hill until he reached the age of the rich. So in this scene, out of nowhere, Pepe's horse screamed and fell on its side. After the horse died, Pepe crawled up on his knees with one hand, and his right hand was holding a rifle. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, or eventually, Pepe was shot by a silver grenade, and it was aimed to the right hand. And of course, it was the black man figure. Now, the next scene, we have somewhere in the mountains. So after being shot, Pepe was was in a pain, and he was in a great dehydration. So he was crawling and crawling again up to the mountain, and then he desperately looks for a drop of water by digging the ground. And after finding a muddy water, she even swallowed the muddy water just for a drop of water. And of course, after that, he has to throw it away. I'm sorry. Now, after the struggle, we have the last scene, and it is taken a place on the top of the big rock on the ridge peak, which is, the peak of the mountain. And in this scene, Pepe are meeting his end of life. So basically, he's going to die. So after crawling and crawling, he tries to stand up with his full power. But however, when he tried to stand up, he was shot twice. So first one, he was shot, and after that, he still tried to stand up, and then he was shot again, and then his body couldn't bear the pain, and then his body just roll again until he was died when the avalanche slid slowly down and cover up his death. So that's how he met the end of his life. So that's my part. Right now, we have Dwi who will tell us about the background of the story.
All right, thank you so much, Rani, for such a clear explanation about scenes. And now we're going to discuss about setting or background. Okay, so before we jump into the analysis of the setting in the flight story, I want to explain first about the definition of setting. So I have two definitions from two persons here. The first one is from Aripudin 2017, which is the setting or background in literature can be divided into three parts, which are setting of place, setting of time, and also social setting. So setting of place is basically the place where characters lives and moves. So in the story, the setting of place can be more than one. And also, the next one is setting of time. As its name, time, it refers to the time when the story happened. And lastly, it is social setting. So social setting, it refers to the condition or the mental state of the characters when the events happen. Next, please. The next definition we have from Rosaria 2004. I'm sorry, it's hidden there. So setting refers to all aspects of environment where the story takes place. Those aspects are the time, the date, society, the weather of the place that happened in the story, and also the situation in that place. And the environment in the story itself can be real or fiction. So it can be real, which is the place that really exists in the world, or it can be happen. Next, please. Now we will discuss types of setting. There are two types of setting. The first one is backdrop setting. Have you ever read a story or watch a movie and then you find out that you are very difficult to find when and where exactly the story happened? So when you have ever watched or read this kind of story, it means that that story or that movie using backdrop setting. So backdrop setting means that the story have no specific place or specific time. It can be happen anywhere at any time. For example, the story taking place somewhere in Bali Island. So there is no specific like time and also place there. And usually, if the story or the movie use the backdrop setting, the setting itself is not give a real impact or big impact to the um, plot or to the flow of the story. However, the second type of setting, it is integral setting. It means that the story have a specific time and also specific place. If the story using integral setting, it means that the setting give an effect to the story. So for example, like let's say the story take place in the let's say that the story have take place let me okay in the Tenganan village, which is very traditional. If this story take place in Tenganan village, it means that the characters live in the remote area. So the impact of the story is the characters have no like what is that like car, expensive car, something like that. They are live in a very traditional way. So that's the example of integral setting, which is affect the story. And now we move to the analysis of the story flight. Can you please next to the slides? Okay, thank you. The first one is setting of place. As Raninta already said previously, there are many places in the story of flight. Yeah. So the first one, the I can say the main place of the story is where the characters, where Torres family lives. So they live in 15 miles below Monterey on the wild coast. So this is the real setting of place, yeah, because Monterey is a city that is located in Monterey Country on the southern edge of Monterey Bay on the U.S. states of California's central coast. And I already add the map there, so it proves that the setting of place is real, which is in the Monterey. And the Torres farm is located on the cliffs, overlooking the Pacific coast and at the edge of the continent. And the place where Pepe flees is a wilderness first of redwood forest and then dry rocky hills and mountains. So basically the setting of place here is used integral setting, which is it affects the flow of the story. When the Torres family live in this place, they tend to live in the farming area. Okay, next we have setting of time. Can you please go to the next slide? Okay, thank you. So basically, in the story, there is no specific time. It probably could happen in the late of 18th centuries or in the middle of 19th century. So basically, there is no specific time. So it used the backdrop setting for the setting of time. And lastly, we have social setting. I think it's very clear the social setting here is where the Pepe and his family lives in the society that demands a boy to be a man, to take an action, a brave action such as like killing people or something like that. So because Pepe and also his family live in this kind of society, Pepe have a big tension or big pressure to replace his father to be a man. And in his journey to be a man, we can feel directly that the flow or the tone, the mood of the story is filled with a lot of tensions and sadness. So those are the settings in the story. And this is the last of our discussion right now because Melanie already explained about theme and Ranita already explained about scene. And if you have any question, just please let us know in the next session in our online class. And thank you so much for listening to us. Hopefully it gives you new knowledge. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.